Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Nikki.
Hi.
And Nick, this week we have a couple people joining us. Returning is your brother Nathan and one of his friends, Karsh. Guys, welcome to the podcast this week. How's it going?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Excited to be here.
Well, thanks for coming on. So, Karsh, this is we've had Nathan on a couple times now. Karsh, this is your first time. So, how do you guys know each other? Where did you meet? How do you guys know each other?
Me and Nate, we work for the same firm, and then we met at the New Hire conference. It's funny how we met because it was like at the airport. I don't know this guy, he doesn't know me, and then it was a raffle. It was like a random raffle at an airport. I don't know. You might have.
Karsh, you want me to
seen it?
step in here? You want me to step in? Okay,
You can.
all right. I've been practicing this in the shower, actually, before we do the podcast.
Okay.
So, anyways, our company, every quarter, it's a pretty big company. So they ship all the new hires out to like New York, Atlanta, New Orleans for new hire conferences, and they last like 4 days. It's in the middle of the week. So I knew some buddies that had just started at the same company. So when we booked the flights, we all booked our flights together to go there. We were going to Atlanta. And so we get to KCI. It's the new KCI too. So everything looks different. It's confusing. But when we get to KCI, we're in the terminal waiting for our flight. And all of a sudden, they start the flight attendants. I think it's a flight attendant that does it. But they start doing a raffle of some kind. So she gets on the mic and she's like, "Okay, good morning, travelers. I hope you guys are ready for a hot Atlanta." And she starts doing this raffle. So she's like, "We're gonna do a raffle. So anybody with an electric toothbrush, come on up and claim a prize." Nobody had an electric toothbrush on them. She's like, "Okay, it's Tony Tuesday. Anybody named Tony, come on up and claim a prize." Like nobody named Tony or Anthony around. And the third trivia was, okay, anybody with Chiefs socks on. Wait, what was it, Karsh?
I think it
Electric
was the
toothbrush?
electric toothbrush that was
Oh,
me.
sorry. It was the
But then they,
toothbrush.
but
Yeah.
they did start with the Chiefs gear.
Yeah,
but
they started
no
with
one
the
had
Chiefs
the
socks.
Chiefs gear on. Yeah, Chiefs socks.
Yeah.
Correct.
So they're like, okay, anybody with an electric toothbrush, come on up and claim a prize. So I didn't know who Karsh was. Karsh had no idea who I was, but he walks past me and two other guys that I was with to go up to the flight attendant and claim his prize. And as he's walking back, I stopped him. I like tapped him on the shoulder. I was like, "Yo, dude, what'd you get?
What'd you
What
get?"
prize? What's the prize?" And he showed me this little like airplane keychain or something.
Okay.
I was
And
like,
a candy
or something. And I was like, I was defeated for him. I was like, dude, that's so stupid. Like, what? You're just gonna throw that away when you get back to Kansas City anyway. So he walks back to where he was sitting. We get on the flight. We get to Atlanta, and we're in the new hire conference. It's like a huge hotel ballroom, and I'm like staring at Karsh for like multiple minutes at a time. I'm like, if this dude sees me out of the corner of his eye, he's gonna think I'm a creep. So I'm
like, "Who's this
staring
guy?"
at him. And then we do this break where you go talk to people. It's a social thing. And I go up to him and I'm like, "Dude, I know you from somewhere." I was like, "Where do I know you from?" And it takes like probably 2 days for us to realize where we met each other. Because we were talking to, somehow it came up, flight attendant raffle or something. And then we finally made the connection that he
Yeah,
won
we
the
didn't
raffle
realize
and I
till
asked him.
we were like flying back from
Yeah.
Atlanta back to KC.
Hmm.
It's like, hey, I did win a raffle. I won a keychain and a candy. I was like, I do remember someone who won
Stopping
it,
me.
and I think stopping me too. I was like,
Yeah.
was it you? I was like, yeah, it was you. I was like, that was.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Oh, good Lord. Okay. Well, that's an interesting story. I didn't the raffle seems really stupid. Yeah, I'm just
That's
gonna say
exactly what I
that.
thought, especially when I saw the prize.
No, I still have that keychain, and I ate that candy, which was delicious.
Well, you know what? Then I guess if you got the keychain, then it was all worth it. I mean,
Right.
So how was everybody's week? Did everybody have a good week? Anything crazy happen this week? From what I was just told a couple minutes ago, it sounded like a bunch of crazy stuff happened this week, but I don't know.
So So it was last Friday. Well, we had finished recording the podcast, I think, and I thought Nathan was at the gym because sometimes he goes to the gym after work, and then an hour later he still wasn't home, and me being a concerned sister, I saw that he had updated a Snapchat story because he doesn't share location with me. I share location with him because I want him to know if I'm ever kidnapped,
Uh-huh.
but he doesn't share with me, so I don't ever know where he is. I thought he was at the gym. He was in Nebraska with
Okay.
Karsh.
Okay.
So come to find out they had a really good weekend. I thought he was at the gym, but what did you guys do this past weekend?
We went up to see Shane Gillis. Karsh, how was your experience, dude?
It was great. I wasn't there for the show, but the time after, that was fun.
Oh, that's right. So we tried to find, so the way they do, I don't know if this is like comedy specific, but it's not,
Mm.
and I don't know if concerts even do this because I don't go to concerts, but when we were buying tickets for the comedy show, they give you the row in the section, but they don't tell you what seat number you are. So me and some
Hmm.
of my buddies bought tickets to go up to see Shane Gillis.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day we were going to go to the Red Bull soapbox race. I was going to go with Karsh. I was going to split off with them. They were going to go home. And it just so made sense logistically that Karsh should come up Friday night because then we'd have to leave at like 4 in the morning. It'd be easier to just be there. Um, so I couldn't buy a ticket for Karsh for the Shane Gillis, so it was kind of weird. Um, but yeah, so we went to see Shane Gillis, who was hilarious. He had a couple openers who were hilarious, and then we went to the Red Bull soapbox race. And I, for like weeks and weeks and weeks, I was trying to. If you don't know what the soapbox race is, Google a picture. It's sick. People build their own carts and they run them down that ramp, and there's different obstacles, and people crash and flip.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought the crowd was going to be like a demolition derby crowd, like rough around the edges, a lot of beer, pretty rednecky. So I was trying to like prepare Karsh. I was like, okay, Karsh, I'm gonna define white trash for you. We're just gonna point it out when we get there. But it was actually like a very legitimate event.
Yeah.
It was like no alcohol. There was like 40,000 people or something. So it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, Finding a little bit about like going back a little bit, it's like finding this event. It's like me scrolling through Instagram, and then this advertisement came up, and it was like this is like Des Moines, was like 3 hours away. And then this like me sharing to Nate, it's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? It's like, oh, nothing. I just have this concert I'm going to, and I'm free after. I was like, perfect. How about we just go to this? We'll figure it out. We'll see how it is. It turned out to be awesome. It was like thousands of people. It's legit. It was like I think it's like 36 teams, Nate, right? 36 teams, probably somewhere around there. And then they did a skid at the top, and then they rolled down the hill, and then they created like a cart with like four wheels on, and they ran through a track. It was just awesome.
And I
And
heard
then
that it wasn't as rednecky as
Yeah.
no,
There was a
I
little bit.
thought.
There was a little bit. I pointed a couple people out to Karsh. Um, but
yeah,
I think
Karsh, you've always been a car guy though, right? Obviously
yeah,
this was soapbox racing, but you are into cars. I remember Casey and you
yes,
talking about different
yeah,
cars, and Kevin knows how Casey's into cars too.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
yeah.
It started with Course, the movie Course. It's like
Oh,
all the
okay.
whole watch that Cars too. It's like this is insane. This is insane. For some people, it might be just like piece of metal on four wheels, but for someone, it's just like it's just insane engineering and what it takes and everything. So it's fun to watch all this and like um watching these events and everything for fun. Um, how much progress they have made and everything and stuff too. Like so.
Cool.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cars are awesome. I love cars. Going car shows, looking at cars. It's just great. But Nathan, I've heard, and I've been informed by your sister that I'm supposed to ask you this question.
oh
Um,
hell.
I understand that you have been having a lot of fun going to several weddings here recently. Um, and I can see it on your face that you've been having fun with this. Um, so I just want to know your true feelings about this.
God, they take forever. I mean, they take forever. I mean, you essentially lose a day. Like,
Yeah.
oh, sure, happy go lucky for the wedded couple, like great. But I lose a productive day. So selfishly, it's a
A
very selfish
productive
take,
day.
but yeah.
Productive.
Productive is subjective, so whatever my productive is productive.
Hey, I'm busy if I'm sitting on my sofa, so I get that.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
No.
They're just long. I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for the wedded couple, but
Yeah.
Nikki's wedding was like peak. And I'm not gonna tell that story. I'm not gonna put my embarrassing story out there like that, but
Why? It was
Oh.
fun. It was a good night. It was an open bar and Nathan had a blast.
yeah, it was too good.
But also, we only had the reception. It was an elopement reception, so he didn't have to sit through any vows,
Yeah.
which I think is the hardest part for him. Yeah. And the dressing up. I know that gets you. This
Yeah.
is not about weddings. This is about you and Karsh. Remember when Karsh came to pick you up for the holiday party, I think it was, for your company?
Yeah.
And Karsh was in like a suit. Nathan was in golf clothes. So also just dressing
No,
up is
no.
hard for
I've actually trademarked that specific outfit. I call it biz cash. It's like party in the front. No, no, business in the front, party in the back. You wear a nice polo and then sweatpants. You're comfortable and you look good. Biz cash.
Yeah, well, Karsh was in
Uh,
a suit.
So what you're saying is you're calling it the mullet of outfits. You just
Sure.
called it the
What's wrong
mullet
with
of
that?
outfits.
So dumb.
Yes, you're correct, Nick. It is so dumb.
Yeah.
A polo and sweatpants. That's an interesting combination. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. So this week, folks, we are talking more about conspiracy theories because we're all about that kind of stuff around here. And we have a couple fun ones. That Nathan and Karsh wanted to talk about this week. So, Nathan, I guess we'll let you go first. You wanted to talk about Nikola Tesla and conspiracies surrounding uh, the one of the geniuses who used to live
Right.
here in this country. So,
Almost forgotten too, if there wasn't a company named after him, a large company. But anyways, it's fascinating to think about Nikola Tesla because like what we're taught in school, we're taught about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison he was there with the founding fathers. I mean Tesla was an immigrant, right? I think Thomas Edison was kind of one of the OGs when you talk about the foundation of America and the birth of America. So he's more talked about. Um, but he's a pretty shady character. And I know a lot of people end up looking into him because the one you always hear about is how he stole a light bulb, which he did for the most part. Um, but he's pretty shady when you actually start to look into him. He was an inventor, but in front of that word inventor, he was a businessman. Um, so it's fun to talk about, like, when you think about AC and DC power, DC was really championed by Thomas Edison, and alternating current AC power is really championed by Nikola Tesla. So right off the rip, Tesla made a lot of big enemies. So obviously Thomas Edison, when you think about controlling the market with either AC, DC, we're kind of split now. Obviously, we use both. Um, but then you also think about so Nikola Tesla had these crazy ideas, and I know a lot of people kind of know, a little bit about some of them. Um, but he actually scammed. Well, he didn't scam. So he got financing from J.P. Morgan back in the day when J.P. Morgan was the guy to build. I forget what he sold it to J.P. Morgan as, but he was building something completely different. He was building it was the worldwide wireless network, I think it was called, worldwide wireless something. But Tesla's idea was to wirelessly transmit electricity. So now we use power lines to translate alternating current around the roads and it goes in your home. But Nikola Tesla had an idea and he was actually the coolest part is he was sort of onto something. because he was building all these. They were like cell towers, but they were for electricity. Obviously, he didn't have cell phones back in the day. But he got financing from J.P. Morgan for something that he told J.P. Morgan he was building, but in reality, he was really building these towers for this worldwide wireless. And when J.P. Morgan found out, he cut the financing, obviously, because he wasn't sold on the idea. He made a huge enemy because J.P. Morgan had financed this. Nikola Tesla really had nothing to give back to him at that point in time. But one of the coolest things to learn about is Nikola Tesla was able to power a light bulb wirelessly underground, complete like no conduit, no wire, no nothing, over 7 miles. In 2007, the closest we got was 7 feet. It was like 6.6 feet. It was a physics research team in Cambridge or something. I don't know, some Ivy League school. But the closest they can get now is 6.6 feet. And somehow Nikola Tesla, back in whatever year, I think it was 1890 or 1870, was able to do it over 7 miles. And he had his intern there for record keeping purposes, and he wouldn't explain to him how to do it. This intern obviously wasn't like a fresh off the street, completely green. He knew about electrical engineering and all that. Um, but he wouldn't even explain it to his intern. So when Nikola Tesla died, the craziest part is the FBI came in and raided his house after he died, which is a lot of what people have heard of. And some of that stuff in 2016 through the Freedom of Information Act has since been released. A lot of those files have been declassified, but there are still a lot of missing files, according to Tesla's nephew or grandson. So there's still a lot we don't know. There's still a lot we don't know. Like, how was Tesla 100 years ago able to wirelessly transmit electricity? And the closest we can get with some of our greatest minds today is 6.5 feet. So it just makes you think. He made a lot of big time enemies. Um, J.P.
Mhm.
Morgan, obviously, the government, Thomas Edison. But
So the thing about I don't know hardly anything about Nikola Tesla. But what I had seen about him was right around election time last year, a conspiracy theory relating to Barron Trump and John G. Trump, which was Donald Trump's, I think he's late, I think he passed away, uncle. Did you see this, Nathan, this conspiracy
yeah,
theory?
yeah. So it
So,
was. Yeah. Sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So John G. Trump was the one when those files were not declassified, but he was at one point in time the one that was reviewing Nikola Tesla's files and his paperwork and all his crazy ideas that Nikola Tesla had put on paper. And he was the one that was supposed to determine whether or not they had substance, or they were just crazy ideas that a loony made up. And he went with crazy ideas what a loony made up.
Mm-hmm.
But John G. Trump was Trump's great grandpa. So it
Mm-hmm.
was his dad's dad. And he
Yeah.
was the one that was basically put in the place to say, these have something, these have nothing.
Mm-hmm. And then there was also this crazy thing. I don't fully understand how they were linking the Barron Trump stuff to John Trump, who was related to Tesla. But there was this novel. I think they were trying to say that one of the conspiracy theories was Nikola Tesla created like portals or time travel or something. It was one of his secret projects. And then this novel came out. It's called Barron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. This was written in the late 1800s, early 1900s, like before Barron Trump today. Um, but it basically like predicts not only the Trump presidency, it's also about Barron Trump going on different adventures. Even the picture, like on the cover, looks like him.
Hmm.
So then there was this whole viral conspiracy thing about time travel, Tesla, Trump. It was very interesting. Um, when you look at like this, I haven't read the novel. I don't even know where you can buy it or if you can buy it. I'm sure you can, but yeah. So I guess the connection that they were trying to make was time travel was one of Tesla's things, is what it seemed like when I was reading through this.
Which I would probably like hit more later on when we talk about like my conspiracy theories. Like the question like I have is like there were findings, there is things kind of happen in the future, but why do we not see it right now? You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
why did we stop that research? You know, like
Mhm.
why is it like not published? Like why do we not know about it
You're
now?
you're
It just
exactly
vanished. It just vanished at after that moment. What
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
you're exactly right because even if the government, the FBI did raid his house, right? But whatever happened to those documents, we really haven't seen anything. And
Right.
and I guess that might prove that a lot of those ideas were really just loony, maybe Tesla liked to claim he could talk to aliens and he was getting his ideas from aliens, extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
And maybe he was. Maybe they're just so far advanced we haven't seen it yet because we don't even
And it
understand
could
it.
also just be corporate greed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
At
one of
the
exactly.
end of
the
the day.
Right.
that's one of the things
Yeah.
that I also saw too was that with that Weidencliff Tower and the transfer of energy is that it was going to be almost free, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, that's a big problem right there for a lot of companies. So you
Right.
got to shut that down immediately
Right,
with
Yeah.
exactly.
like
Mhm.
It
you
says
can't have anything
yeah.
free. Like come
Right.
on,
Yeah.
guys.
It says it sets that all that money making market like 100 years back.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
and also I think you're going to get I mean, I think anytime conspiracy theories, I think also snowball over time. Like this was 100 years ago that this guy was around, and you have this, very eccentric person who was way ahead of his time as far as intelligence goes and everything else. And I just think it kind of, uh, I think it kind of threw people off, and it just kind of snowballed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
even they may have the government took documents from him, but that may have not really actually been anything. They just took the documents. It may not have meant anything. It may have just been the
Right.
government taking documents, but people are going to read into it because they're trying to hide something. I know, we
Well,
can't do
hey,
that.
Mhm.
if you're like me and you don't trust the government farther than you can walk out of your own house, it was 1943 when Nikola Tesla died. That's like the height of World War II.
Hmm.
That's like nuclear war. Nuclear war is impending. We're developing nuclear missiles.
Yes.
Russia is. We've got this wonderkin that's thinking of these ideas and talking to aliens and getting these ideas. I don't know. I think the government would have a major interest in that.
That's possible. That's possible. That is very possible. So
Yeah, we could go down a whole nother tangent of World War II theories and the Nazi gold and the Nazi intelligence.
Yeah.
There's so many things related to that too.
well, he also claimed to have invented a death ray. So
Yeah.
that could shoot a plane out of the sky. So maybe
Yeah.
maybe
Hey, wouldn't the government want that during World War
I'm
II?
sure they would have. Yes, I'm sure they'd want it now, not just during
Yeah.
World War II. I'm sure they'd want it now.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of countries would want it now. But yeah, I don't know. Nikola Tesla, I find, is a very interesting character anyway. Um, just because he's kind of kooky and just an interesting character. Um, have you guys? Have any of you actually, Nick? I know you've never seen it, but have Karsh or Nathan? Have you ever seen the movie The Illusionist?
I have not.
Okay, there is a movie called The Illusionist. It has who is in it? Why can't I think of their names? Um, Anyway, it's about two magicians who are basically competing against each other, and one of them goes to Nikola Tesla to help create a trick for them. And
Hmm.
Nikola Tesla creates an illusion for one of them to build, which is kind of interesting. And they kind of show like his workshop, and he's working on electricity, and it's kind of an interesting way to show off him as
Yeah.
like an inventor. But it's
Is it a
pretty
true
Edward
is it
Norton.
a true story?
no, it's a fantasy type
Oh,
Like a
okay.
thing,
thriller.
but
Mm.
yeah,
Gotcha.
but it's yeah,
Like
it's a
kind of
thriller.
like the science fiction.
Yeah, it's like a science fiction thing,
Nice.
but it is
Nice.
it is a fun movie. Um,
Nice.
but yeah. Anyway,
Add it on my list.
yeah. um, so Nathan, did you have anything else on Nikola Tesla for right now, or are we good to go? Or are we go ahead and
Nope.
to Karsh to let
We
him
could.
talk about Mount? Is it Kailash? Is that how you pronounce it?
Kailash.
Kailash.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. So Mount Kailash. We're talking about one mountain or like mountain range around in Tibet, surrounded with like four different countries, and then it's like in the border of like where it's like China and India is. Um, s- Very interesting mountain, I would say. Considered holy in like four different religions. I believe it's like Jainism, Buddhism, Hindu, and Bon religion. Um, Couple interesting facts about this mountain is for Hinduism is that there is presence of like God. Some people believe extraterrestrial, and then some supernatural powers kind of being present, and like because things it defy like it does not follow physics what we have like known for like years and stuff. Starting with like couple of instances and what I like read about and like seen and heard about is multiple people have reached and like have reached the and have like scaled the mountains like a lot higher than this range. Um, Mount Everest probably a lot more higher than what Mount Kailash is. People have tried to scale this mountain, but all of them have been unsuccessful. Couple instances with which they have like kind of encountered. They have seen that time kind of travels faster. Like when they were like trying to scale this mountain, their nails have like grown a lot faster than it used to. Couple of phenomenon when they were trying to climb this mountain, they were feeling they were climbing down and they were not climbing up. Um, and then just the strain of thoughts they have like came across when they were climbing this mountain. It's like, oh, I don't think this is the right thing to do. And then they'll like climb down.
Hmm.
And then after a certain point, they banned to climb this mountain, considering their religious purposes, and then kind of holding the kind of the Holy Spirit kind of thing, and then not having people kind of climb or like scale this mountain anymore. Some other things like theories and some other things like interesting about this is um this mountain is like I believe like 6,666. I'm gonna use term not miles but kilometers. Kilometers from Stonehenge, and then 3,000. I think same distance from like the North Pole and the South Pole, which is
Mm.
interesting.
It's the literal center of the world is I think,
Yes,
what he's getting
correct,
at, what they call it.
Hmm.
right.
Huh.
And then if you double the distance, so 6,666, I believe, times two, it gives the height of the mountain.
Hmm.
So you're seeing this as the center from North Pole, South Pole, Stonehenge, and then now that becomes the height of that mountain. Um,
Is
Couple
it
other things.
man-made or
Well,
natural?
that's a conspiracy
I guess
theory.
that's a conspiracy
That's
theory. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
sorry.
conspiracy.
I'm jumping
Yeah,
in.
no, it's good. All good. Um, Kind of looks like a pyramid. I don't know if you can like pull that image and see how it is, and then they have it's like how like squared it is, and then also it is like center of like four different rivers kind of comes down from that mountain, and then four different countries is surrounded by four different sides. And then also I believe it's like DNA. It was like one of the researchers which they were talking about. It's like DNA. They call it the DNA triplet. It's a it forms a pyramid. So a triangle pyramid kind of goes like goes long ways back, and how I don't want to sidetrack and talk about pyramids more, but how the geographical location for those pyramid is, it kind of lines up with with the speed of light.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And this being like talking a little bit more about like Hindu mythology, about um it's one of the greatest gods in Hindu mythology, Lord Shiva. It's their house. He lives on it. That's what the Hindu scripts say, and their family kind of lives on it. So um, they maybe they might not want people to kind of explore and see
Hmm.
things, but then I'll talk about this in a little bit. But then the other things about this mountain is like it has two lakes, which are named Mansarovar and then Rakshastal. So even being at like probably the same geographical location, they have different um, characteristics. So Rakshas, literal translation to Hindi, it is like demon. So what it is like it's endomorphic, if I'm saying it right. This lake kind of seeps into the soil, and you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't believe that there was like a lake before here, and then certain point of time, all the water will come back from the soil, and we'll see there's a lake.
It doesn't
While
feed anywhere. It's fully
it
contained,
doesn't
is what it
feed,
is. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And then right next to it, there's this lake which nothing happens. It stays, it doesn't freeze even being at like this high altitude, and then it doesn't freeze, um and it doesn't kind of seep into the soil. It just stays as it is, so it's like two different things like right behind the mountain. And there are like different theories behind it. It might be, there's like one of the researchers which they were talking, and like they did some research, like they heard some sounds like like under, like behind the mountain. There's like it is hollow structure. There's something happening inside of it. um and that's where they stop. They feel like they don't want to research more, which is kind of interesting. They also have like different like electromagnetic kind of presence, which if you're using your compass, it won't work how it should, you know. So a presence of like some kind of energy, some kind of um, power that's kind of guides you in like some other direction, like maybe.
That's interesting. I think there's a well, and if it lines up with, they say the same thing about Stonehenge, then there's also a place in Washington. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
that lines up on the same place in the map, but there's a place in Washington that does the same thing, and they say that time flows differently and people like grow and shrink. So I wonder if that's all on the same, what is that called? The lines on the map?
Longitude, latitude.
Equators.
Longitude,
Yes,
latitude,
latitude and longitude. Yeah.
yeah, or equator or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is just interesting. There's like no proven. There are like some things which has been proven. It's like technically you're supposed to have like more snow on the north side, but less snow on the south side. While on this mountain, it's opposite. But then some things are like kind of make sense because like there's the Indian Ocean present on the south side, which kind of creates like more clouds and everything. So it is expected to have like more rain on the side,
Mm-hmm.
on that side. That's why it has more snow rather than being on the other side. But the other side has like more like sun presence, which it's opposite how it should be.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I think talking about that, the two things that pique my interest the most are A, how people say time speeds up when you're around that mountain.
Yeah.
And then B, to put it in scientific terms, how magnetic poles get all wonky. when you're around there. Just
Yeah.
Hmm.
scientific terms. But speaking of A, so I think the first group of 4 mountain climbers that ever tried to climb, I believe they were Siberian, Karsh. I
I
don't know if
think
that's right
so.
or not.
I think so.
Um, they were all under 30. They were all under 30. And they went to climb the mountain. They were unsuccessful. And every single one of them within a year after trying to climb that mountain died of old age, is what they said. And again, everybody says their nails grow faster, their hair grows longer faster when they're around there. But that's something that makes you curious. I don't know if that's a coroner thing, somebody diagnosed method of death wrong. I don't know. But they say every single mountain climber from that first group died within a year after trying to climb it from old age, is what they called it. Now, again, I know that was not in the 2000s. That was back in the 60s or 70s.
Hmm.
Technology, it wasn't what it was. There could be 1,000 different reasons why those were either maybe misdiagnosed or diagnosed incorrectly. Um, but then B, the magnetic poles what they are, because Nikki, you're right, there are a couple places throughout the world where when you whip out a compass you can't find true magnetic north, and it's like most of the world you could whip out a compass and find your way with magnetic north, but around this mountain you can't. It's one of those like Stonehenge. um yeah, so
Yeah, and like the Bermuda Triangle.
I
There's
don't.
even like a Lake Michigan triangle that you can't find true north.
Yeah.
I wonder if they all are on different electromagnetic fields.
I
But
mean,
the thing that was interesting to me, oh sorry, Kev, go
no. Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna go on a whole different tangent about lizard people, so by all means,
oh
if you have
God.
something more relevant.
What?
I mean, I, one, nature's flipping crazy. Like we all
Yeah.
know that nature can
Yeah.
come up with some amazing stuff. Like it's insane how nature works and that things can actually exist in our universe that we have no
Mhm.
idea how they work. The fact that like we don't know anybody that has ever been able to climb this mountain is kind of crazy considering we've basically scaled every other mountain
Mhm.
in the you know that's much more difficult
Well,
or
right.
yeah, that's much higher, or much whatever. That's a weird one to me. Um, the yeah, so and the yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of
Mhm.
it's just kind
Very
of an
I need
odd
to look at
interesting.
more
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
pictures.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I they
Right.
were
So
Right. They
oh, we all tried. Go ahead, Karsh.
um so um per Hindu mythology, it was like Om. I don't know if you've seen that character, but then it kind of forms sign of that swastika. In four different religions, also in Hindu, it's like holds like holy
Mhm.
place. So that mountain shadows, and then it might be natural, might be not, but one side of it kind of forms a natural like swastika
Hmm.
Hmm.
on the I believe on the south side when the but then they say it's like the snow is supposed to kind of melt in that direction, and that's why it's like natural. It has been happening and been occurring for like years, and that's why you see that kind of um sign forming on one side of the mountain. And uh from like what structure, like kind of what material is like made off of, it's like different from like every mountain around it kind of thing. It's like sedimentary rock, but this one's like black rock or
Hmm.
like some kind of different rock where this mountain's like made off of.
Interesting.
Hmm.
When you said earlier that it could be hollow and they had stopped any research into sounds or whatever was going on, it made me think of there is a hollow earth conspiracy theory, and that lizard people like run the hollow earth, and then there's some celebrities that are lizard people, like Justin
Okay, this is
Bieber
where the lizard
was like
people
one
came
of
in. Got
them,
it.
and there's others too, but you said that and my mind immediately went there. But the
Right.
one other thing I thought was interesting, the only thing, I didn't read much about this before this, but they said that yetis were also seen in the area. And so when I went to, I think at Paracon, we listened to a speaker on different creatures in different parts of the world, different mythologies, just different areas of the world. And I think they had talked about the Yeti and this mountain range. And that was interesting to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other cool thing is there's like a megalithic temple monument at the base of the mountain or underneath it, and a bunch of caves and caverns that humans obviously made. Um, but Karsh and I were actually looking at that part last night or whenever it was, and it would be 60 tons of rock every day for 17 years because it was built. It's confirmed to be built within 17 years, within that span, and the amount of rock that they would have had to pull out to carve this megalithic monument would have been 60 tons of rock. And nowadays, that's relatively easy. You get, I think it was 6 dump trucks. The average dump truck is a 10 ton dump truck. So you get a track hoe with the breaker and a skid loader, and you can do that pretty easy. But for somebody to do that, back in it's almost like when you talk about how the Pyramid of Giza was built, and nobody really knows, and that's a lot of material to be moved with little technology or technology that we know of. So 6 dump trucks a day of rock for like a civilization like that at that point in time is pretty impressive, and that's every day for 17 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So yeah, so one of the conspiracy theories says it's like we are talking about like this temple, Kailasha temple. It was like carved as like at a like kind of bottom of a mountain and all this rock, thousands of miles. We cannot find the same rock. If you're chipping it, what are you gonna do? You're gonna take it, you're gonna dump it right next to it or something, right? Thousands of miles are like kilometers, and there's like seed right next to it. You cannot find the same rock. What happened to this rock? To be efficient, you're not gonna pile this stone or this rock 5,000 kilometers away or like miles away. You want to just dump it right next to it so that you can be more efficient. You just want the end product. You want to build a temple. You don't care where the stone end up to be at. And then the theory says like this mountain was, it's like extraterrestrial technology and everything they use is like to convert the rocks to like air, and also kind of they use like laser technology to kind of carve it from like top to bottom.
That's when you get into the alien conspiracy theories, and how there were gods walking among Earth that lived at that mountain, and they had those machines that were laser beams, or they were all powerful and could just poof make it turn into air. But that's when you start diving down that rabbit hole.
Right.
You know, this is the one thing that I don't like about alien conspiracies or things like this is every time we can't figure out how to explain something that somebody did, it's just always an alien
Yeah,
conspiracy because
yeah.
we just don't have the technology, so it's just an alien. That's just what it is.
Yeah. It's like we're taking the credit away from us
We're
as
taking the
humans.
credit away from
Yeah.
humans and the fact that we do have ingenuity to some extent, and we have been able to figure out a lot of things in our time. And we
Yeah,
just
well, and even the times before us, like Nathan, the last time you were on the podcast, we talked about civilization before we lost a bunch of technology, and then
Yeah.
going into like that
Right.
time of what did we call it? The Great
The Great
Stupidity.
Stupidity.
Yeah, the great
something?
stupidity
Yeah.
or the great
Yeah.
stupefying, something like that.
Yeah, the Great
Yeah.
Stupefaction or whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Where we lost
Stupefaction,
all
that's
of
what it
the
was. The
Yeah.
great stupefaction.
Yeah. So like
And we just like lost all of civilization's technology and became extremely dumb, and now we're trying to get back.
exactly. Like
Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
no, go for it, bud.
100 years. We figured everything out.
Yeah.
Just like past
Mhm.
100 years, we're like so technology advanced that
It's like the past 30
we haven't
years
been
even.
like, or like 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. I would say like since we like kind of started in like we invented like wheels, like let's say 1800s, in like the past 200 years span at that time from like there to then to today, like how much we have evolved, like what were what were we doing like the 1,000 years before it, like
Mm-hmm.
Even if we can achieve this in 200 years, what are we doing? Like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy to think about.
I like yours. I like yours 100 years because you could start at like the Navajo code runners and the Morse code in World War II and those giant computers that would be the size of
Yeah.
like our data centers that we're building nowadays. You
The
start
conversation.
there and then you've got 100 years to now. I mean, we've got little tiny cell phones that far out, exceed what we could do back then in 1945 even.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like compare that 100 years to the other thousands.
Yeah.
Right.
It is crazy.
Yeah. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for facts, unless you guys have more on this. Time for facts. Okay. Nick, you want to go first this week?
Okay. Okay. So, two things about Nikola Tesla. So, he was very quirky, as we already said earlier. He didn't like pearls, and pearls drove him crazy. Like women who wore pearls, if his secretary wore pearls, like a pearl necklace, he would send her home. So that was interesting because no one knows why. Because he dressed very dapper, like he wore white gloves. So you would think that pearls would be like, I don't know.
Hmm.
So that was odd. And then also, this is not a real fact, also, by the way, but he had told a friend before he passed away that, so he loved pigeons. He like took care of pigeons in New York City, apparently, would like leave his window open for these pigeons to come in and would take care of them if they were injured and things. So apparently he told one of his friends that he had felt like his life's work was over, like before he died, and also that he had loved a pigeon as much as a man loves a woman, and as after this pigeon died, he had no purpose to his life. So I don't know how true that is, but apparently like this friend journaled about this, and I thought that was interesting. He loved pigeons.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a quirky guy.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that. I can see that.
Yeah. So that's a reported fact.
Reported fact.
Not a true,
Yes.
not a true fact.
Well, we are insufficient here, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan, you got a fact?
If it's okay with you, I'm actually going to. I think we would be remiss if we did not share the best story that myself, Karsh, and Nikki all share. So I can either tell it now or I can go at the end. But I think instead of a fun fact, we're gonna embarrass
Do a fun
Karsh.
story.
Fun story. There you go.
Okay, go for it. Or I
Okay,
can do
so
my fact first, and then you can go at the end. That works too.
perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's do that.
Okay. Karsh, do you have a fact, or do you want to wait, or do you want to go with this too?
I'm sorry that me and Nate are not following the track.
Oh, you're
I
good.
have a fun fact and a fun question.
Okay.
Like interesting question.
Okay.
Okay.
So fun fact about Mount Kailash, which I want to mention is like there's like no vegetation, no plantation on this mountain, which is like interesting. Like you would see any other mountain range, like oh they have like trees, plants, everything. There's like nothing on this one.
Okay.
Interesting question, I would say, is like, we have so many theories, so many kind of proofs or like scripts, and we like history. We can see that some people think it's extraterrestrial. Some people think that it's God, or some powerful creature, or whatever the individual believes, right? What they were here at some point. Like we would not know about all these stuff if they weren't here. What happened? Why did they leave? Why are they not here right now at this moment? What happened? Are they testing us? Do they want to see us evolve? What it is, like it's kind of just interesting to me, which I just
Yeah.
always think about.
So you're posing the
Mhm.
question of if they were here, what happened to them, or why did they leave, or are
Correct.
they still here and just not?
Or are they still here?
Or are
We
they
don't
still
know.
here and just hiding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Karsh is trying to add another 20 minutes here.
Okay. Well, I mean,
But
That's
something
okay.
to think about.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't want to answer a story or anything.
Okay.
It
We
is
don't.
fascinating.
I mean, yeah. Uh, It's it.
I lean more towards what we've talked about with Nathan before, that um I mean, I guess it could be extraterrestrial knowledge, because I wholeheartedly believe that we're not the only people in our universe. What, and we talked about this before, whether it's green or gray aliens, who knows, but we're definitely not the only life forms. But I lean more towards what we were talking about earlier, where maybe ancient civilizations had different technology and knowledge that we can't comprehend, because we were talking about before, like how did they build the pyramids and things, and they had different technology than like levees and puller, or
Mm-hmm.
well, whatever those words
Pulleys.
are. Yeah.
Levers and pulleys,
Levers and
Yes,
pulleys.
yes.
or levies and
Levers
pullers,
and yeah.
or levies and
So
pullers. That
like
works.
that's how we think of when we think of building, usually we think of something like that, but maybe they had a completely different way of building, like sound waves or different things. So I lean more towards we lost some ancient knowledge along the way.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Or the aliens crashed here, they couldn't get off the planet, and they integrated with us, and they're still here.
Yep.
And they're just as stupid as we are at this point, because it's been thousands of years and they don't know how to do anything anymore. That's a possibility. But anyway, my
That was a
fun.
good question.
Yeah, that is a thought provoker. Like, it is interesting to wonder, like, what would have happened, or why aren't they around if they were over here. My fun fact is about Tesla. Apparently he was set to be a priest, which I did not know. His father wanted him to be a priest. The reason that he didn't become a priest is because he got cholera. And his dad said that he would, as long as he was sick for, he was sick, bedridden for 9 months, and almost died several times. And his dad basically, like, said that he would let him do whatever he wanted, as long as he, I'm sure, probably, like, prayed, and he was like, oh, if you know, if he gets better, we'll let him do whatever he wants or whatever. And he survived, so he didn't end up having to join the church and be a priest, which I thought was interesting. I can't imagine what it would have been like if he
Didn't know
wouldn't
that.
have gone to what he did and was a priest instead. So
I can't even imagine, because surely at that time, if he was younger in his 20s, that's like the 1860s or 70s. I can't imagine being bedridden for 9 months with technology as we know it. But back then in the 60s and 70s, when you're
yeah,
playing that little game where you flip the ball into that little cup, I mean, all day, every day, I
yeah.
can't even imagine.
I mean, I would say if he was bedridden for that long, he was probably so sick that that's not what he was really worried about as much. You know,
Yeah.
it was probably a lot worse than what we're thinking of bedridden now. Like,
I think it's funny that you thought of that specific game, because we've definitely gone to the St. Louis Arch and
Yeah.
bought that cup game in the gift shop.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. I mean,
About how
everybody's
Native Americans used to play this game.
everybody's played that little ball in the cup game. Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a fun little game. Why not? You know. So anyway, Nathan, I guess it's story time. So
It's story time.
it's story time.
So going back, we kind of talked about it earlier in the segment, but um, going back to when Karsh and I had that holiday or that work party, I think it was New Year's, maybe. I can't remember what it was.
I think so.
But anyway, so Karsh met me at my house. We drove to there. I had to work the next day. It was a Friday night. I had to work that Saturday, unfortunately. So Karsh kind of knew before, going into it, I was probably going to dip pretty early. And that he was going to stay. Karsh always finds a right. Karsh always finds a way to stay out and have fun. So anyways, I leave. I get up the next day, go to work. I saw Karsh had texted me and he was playing cards at a buddy's house at like 3 a.m., something like that. So I get to work, lunch rolls around, and I get a text or a phone call from Karsh, and he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I need your garage passcode again," because he left his car keys in my house and his car in my driveway. So he's like, "Hey, I need to get into your house real quick." I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm not gonna say the code. I'm not gonna dox my code,
Yeah.
online." But anyways, so he goes in the house and the one crucial piece of information I forgot to tell him, and that he wasn't thinking about because he's already probably tired, probably still a little bit no, I'm kidding. But the one crucial piece of information is that there are two dogs in the house, and two dogs that absolutely wait at the door coming up the stairs, and they will run out, especially one of them, which is
Mhm.
Nikki's kid,
Yep.
Opie.
Opie. Yep.
Opie will immediately run out the door
Mhm.
as soon as he even like feels there's a slight chance to,
Yep.
and he won't come back. I call him stupid, but I know he's really not. He's Nikki's kid, but he doesn't listen to his name. So if you call him, he won't come back. So and again, all this I forgot to tell Karsh. So Karsh opens the door, leaves the garage door open, obviously, leaves the basement door open because he's just going to grab his keys.
It's a 1 second thing. I was like, I'm gonna grab my
Yeah,
keys. I'm gonna leave.
yeah. I mean, real quick. So like 5 minutes later, I get another phone call, and it's Karsh, and he's a little bit frantic, and he was like, "Hey," he was like, "I forgot you had dogs. Opie just ran out of the house, and he's running down the street." And I was like, "Oh my God," because Nikki, my parents, Casey, they were all at our property at that
Oh
time.
yeah.
Like they were
Okay.
not, they were like 40 minutes away, not close.
Mhm.
So it is up to Karsh to be the hero today. Um, so I'm on the phone with
I
him.
don't
I'm like,
even think he knew Opie's name at this
I don't,
point.
I don't think. Oh
No,
yeah. I don't think he did.
that's
He was
like
like, "What's his name? What's his name?" So I'm on the phone with him. The only thing I can hear throughout this is heavy breathing, footsteps, and "Come here, Opie. Come here, Opie. Come here, Opie. Come here, Opie." And probably like 7 minutes later, like I hang up with Karsh. I call Nikki. I'm like, "Hey, are you
Mhm.
anywhere close? Because I know Opie. Like I know Karsh doesn't know our neighborhood, doesn't know Opie. He's not gonna come back to him." I was like, "You probably need to like get back to the house now, or else your dog's gonna be gone." So Nikki and my mom leave the property to hightail it back to the house. Nikki's like almost
Oh,
to
I'm
tears.
crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear that through the phone. That makes me feel like crap. So I call back Karsh. I'm like, dude, please, for my life, for Nikki's life, please catch this freaking dog. So eventually, Karsh ended up being the hero. Karsh, like, probably
Yeah.
what, 4 or 5 blocks, 7 minutes later, Karsh finally corners him on somebody's front porch. But that's
Yeah.
always, we'll talk about that, honestly. As long as we three still talk, we'll bring that story up all the time.
Hmm.
Because between Nikki and mom and Nikki's reaction, Karsh, all I can hear through the phone is like footsteps and heavy breathing for like minutes on end. And I'm like praying. I'm just praying that he'll just catch the freaking dog. And eventually he did. So, Karsh, I'm still sorry to this day I didn't tell you there were dogs.
Uh,
I did corner him. I'm probably on like someone's like ring cam
Yeah.
history
Yeah.
on their porch.
Oh,
Like,
everyone in our neighborhood has ring cameras. Everyone. So I'm sure
yeah,
everyone
I'm
picked it up.
probably just like one of those. Yeah, it's like I
Yeah.
cornered
Someone
cornered him.
got a
It's like,
laugh for sure.
Yeah.
okay.
yeah.
Oh well, I think that's a great way to end this week's episode with a fun story. Karsh, it was great having you on. It was nice to meet you, bud. Thanks for
you,
coming
thank you.
on, Nathan.
Thank you, thank
It was
you.
glad to have you on again. We'll have to do this again soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Bye.